Hello, I'm Jamie.
Hello, I'm Mark, and it's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate. Good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between, it's Tuesday night, it's 7:30.
It's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate.
With the Grinch.
Tonight's special guest is the Grinch.
It's Jamie.
Hi.
That's why I'm inside.
Because it's raining.
Because it's raining.
Yeah. Well, it's just stopped, I think, but we have had some rain today.
Hooray!
Yeah, same. Same. We've had rain. But it's not raining here right now. It's blue skies here.
Not a massive amount, but it's a start.
There's a grey cloud at the back there.
What's happening, George?
Yeah, it's been alright. But I got given these swimming tonight.
What is it?
Certificates and badges.
Oh, cool! Look at that.
It was actually just a fun swimming this week, but it was actually just. That was my level 1, and that was my level 2. Dad,
fantastic! Well done. Brilliant.
Penguins on.
You can swim like a penguin now.
Oh, I bet you wish you could.
And then.
We've seen them.
Fantastic. They're a lot better than my swimming certificates when I was at school.
Well,
They
they're
were terrible
disability. They did a disability badges because the badges that they would normally hand out would be like swimming on your own and without a woggle.
All right. Yeah.
So
one day you'll be able to do that, hopefully.
Yeah, but right now I can only do them.
Little step.
Yeah, one step at a time, mate.
That's all you can do, isn't it?
One step at a time. You'll get there.
Have you think so?
Good.
Have you been doing anything else?
Yeah, we went to the garden centre and bought £50 worth of plants.
What?
You're not supposed to say how much it was. That's in trouble. Get kicked out of the house and have to live in the polytunnel.
Mommy's already
50 quid. Did you hear that, Steph?
Knows.
50 quid.
Thanks. I haven't read it.
I saw that plants.
Lovely, wasn't it?
Beautiful.
He's gone off to rehearse his gardening fact.
Hey, Kaya.
Oh, kids. Very professional. You found it?
Surely you should rehearse before you go live.
He was swimming. Very unprofessional.
Dash is killing something in the background. He was shaking it to death. Oh yeah, look at that. Monkey old bit of rope toy.
Indeed.
I'm a bit hot. I've just had I had my dinner.
See the garden pack.
And it was a hot Moroccan thing. I'm a bit.
I can
sweaty.
see you very red on top.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
You ready for your gardening facts? You've done your rehearsals, have you?
Yeah, I've done one rehearsal.
You don't need them because you've learned.
No. I need it. I always have it.
No. Hang on, let me throw the things away. Go on then.
I can do it. I don't need help.
Go on then.
George's gardening fact. And you should just put George's gardening fact, not just gardening fact. The most expensive grass in the world is the centre of court at Wimbledon. They are maintained around the clock that they get through 9 tons of grass seed per year.
9 tons?
See, I don't really understand what you said, to be honest, because you said something about grass.
Grass?
Grass.
No, it says most expensive grass in the world is the centre court at Wimbledon, they are maintained around the clock, and they get through 9 tons of grass per seed per year.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? 9 tons. That's a
And
lot. Because grass
that's
seed,
the Wimbledon end grass that they use for tennis.
Wimbledon, grass seed doesn't weigh much, so that'll be a lot in volume.
Yes, because they have to do the whole pitch, and they have to do the court, and then the stuff around it, so then they don't get hurt.
Well, there's more.
Well, surely they don't relay the
There's
grass
more
every
than
year.
just
We
one
see the
court.
whole
There's
lot.
the centre court of Wimbledon.
There's loads of courts.
There's the
I think there's maybe 100 courts at Wimbledon.
Yeah, there's loads.
Yeah, it's massive.
9
tons is
about
same
the
as
same
two
as 2 elephants.
9 tons is about the same as 2 elephants.
That is a lot.
Ooh.
There's an echo in it.
Echo!
But they do. They water and mow it. They cut it
That is a
twice a
lot!
day sometimes.
So,
Talking to you, George. George.
yeah.
I know they water it and have to cut it sometimes twice a
So they
day.
have to water it and cut it about twice before Wimbledon or something.
It
There
has
isn't
to be exactly 8 millimetres
Big.
Oh wow!
Like, cut.
length. 8 millimetres.
Well,
That's less than
19 courts are played
Like that.
on in the
That's
championships.
like this.
But I guess they've got a few more
And
little ones as
Alcaraz
well.
got defeated.
Who won?
It was 4-time champion. Somebody, I can't remember.
He was the defending champion and he lost.
Yeah, Alcaraz was the defending champion, but he lost.
Yeah.
And it was his first Wimbledon title that he had ever won last year.
Good, isn't it? At least there's some new people coming through to Wimbledon now, not the same old 3 or 4 all the time.
No, Andy Murray wasn't competing this
No,
Wimbledon.
he ain't done it for a couple of
He's
years.
retired.
He's done.
Djokovic is rubbish now. Nadal's gone.
Federer's gone.
Federer's gone. Boris Becker's gone.
In the day.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Nadal like 40?
How's your chaos bed?
Flowering lots.
That bow. So then you can see it.
No, can't see it.
If you can see it just there, at the back.
What about your veggie one?
You can't really see that, but
Have you had anything? Have you harvested from it yet?
Some radishes.
Yeah, some radishes. It's just at the back corner there.
Okay. Awesome.
Right.
George is in the lead seat. Yeah. Go and have your bath, Mark.
What? I had one last night.
It's still bedtime, isn't it?
Oh. Bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Clear off. Get out of your seat.
Night, George.
This
Where's
is,
my
this
swimming
is-
certificates?
this is my podcast. Get out.
That's kind of mine and Jamie's as well.
Yeah, I'm sure one day I'll get kicked off and it'll just be you and Jamie.
Yeah, one day when you're like 60, I'll do it.
And then Jamie,
Yeah, I'll be 70.
Jamie will be 70.
Jamie, when my dad's 50, you can be 60, and then I can take over.
And how old will
All
you
right.
20,
be? You'll be 30.
30.
Go on then. Clear off.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later. Oh, he's hyper tonight.
I'm only 30 years younger than you, Jamie.
30 years.
What about 31 then?
40
All
years.
right, mate.
41 then?
Wow.
Ah,
Has he had jelly tots?
no, he's been at secondary school all day for like a secondary school experience. So he's
Oh, I see. I get you. Ah, very good.
one that he won't be going to.
Okay.
The whole of his year went with a school trip. So
Oh, I see. Yeah. Just an experience for him, I suppose, isn't it? Don't
That's
matter.
see what a
Going or not.
secondary school is like compared to
Mm.
primary.
Very different.
And he said it was massive and noisy.
Right, I see. I get you, Steph. I get you. Guess who I met at the weekend?
Was it somebody related to me?
Yeah,
They're probably on here. I've seen one.
they are. Both of them are. There's one now. Look.
My mum and dad.
Yeah, I know.
And I thought you had met them before, but you missed them.
No,
I
I hadn't.
were alive.
I missed them. I can remember Kim saying they'd been, but I obviously weren't there at that point.
Yeah, I think it was the day you weren't there. You were there virtually every other day.
Apart from one, yeah. I only had one day away, yeah. Yeah, I walked past them in the they were sitting down in the marquee. I walked past, and when I come back, they went, "Hello, Jamie," and I went, "Oh my god."
Who the hell are you?
Yeah. Got a couple of stalkers.
Mum said
But
she
as
should
soon
have said, we listened to your podcast.
yeah, that would have been good, wouldn't it? But I sat down and we started chatting, and I went, "Oh my god, Mark looks so much like you. You're a spit, your dad."
Minus the beard.
Absolute spitting image.
If you saw young pictures of my dad and young pictures of me at the same age, we are pretty much identical.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell, definitely.
That's a look
Yeah,
into
that
the
was
future of what I'll look like when I'm 70.
nothing wrong with that. Should be happy with that. Yeah.
I'd have a grey beard instead.
Yeah, definitely. Nothing wrong with that. Silver fox.
So you've been in a loft all day by the looks of it.
I've been in a loft, yeah, this morning I was, which I was happy about that it wasn't, any other day apart from today.
Avoiding the rain.
Yeah. It was
Requesting
very
said
good to meet you
pictures.
too. Yeah, it's really good. We want
So,
to see
so
said
what were you
picture.
doing at the weekend then last week? Tell everyone what you
So
do.
I was asked to co-host the stage at the Ely Cathedral Garden and Home Show.
Rather fancy.
It was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I did a talk all about my allotment. That was very well received. But your mum and dad said, "When's your talk?" I went, "Tomorrow, sorry." I was out on Saturday. Yeah, really good. Absolutely brilliant. Just introducing everybody and chatting with them while they're on stage and then organising stuff. It was really enjoyed it. It was excellent.
It was a good show.
Yeah, it was good. It was their first one. They do a Christmas one every year, but it was their first summer one. And it was really good. Enjoyed it.
They picked one of the hottest weeks of the year to do it.
It was really hot. It was really hot. But luckily, the marquee was white and there was a bit of a breeze blowing through, so it wasn't that bad. I just stayed under there a lot of the time.
And
And
my
there
mum
was a
and dad
little
said it was
bar
inside as well.
there inside the cathedral. It was probably about 19 degrees constant. It didn't change because the
Yeah.
stone walls are about, I
Massive
don't know,
spaces.
2 foot thick. Yeah.
My mum and dad said it was a beautiful cathedral as well.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's definitely on a par to Lincoln.
Yeah. It's a different
Easy.
style, isn't it? It's more gothic and ornate.
Yeah, and it's a big. I'm guessing if you look from the top, it must be a cross. I guess,
Yeah.
but maybe they all are. I don't know. Not really up on the cathedrals, but
I don't think
it's
Lincoln
amazing,
is. Lincoln's kind of got a cross in it, but it's not cross shaped.
isn't
There's
it?
like a part of it that's crossed, but there's extra because you've got the two
Yeah.
towers at the front of Lincoln as well, haven't you? So
Mm,
it's almost like a cross with a T at the bottom.
yeah. So there was a RHS gold winning garden designer, Tim Jennings, was there, and he did a garden, only a small little garden, and he mentored two other people, two garden design students, and they did gardens as well. That was nice. They were in the Bishop's Garden, which is never open to the public. So we all got to go through there as well. That was lovely.
Good experience.
Some
That.
amazing box about knee-high maize not touched whatsoever by any blight or moth.
Yeah.
Absolutely pristine.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big is that inside the cathedral then, or is it just like in the grounds?
It's in the grounds, yeah.
Yeah.
It's right next to you walk into the cathedral from his garden. He's got his own door.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. Fantastic place.
Very impressive.
Yeah. Silly that it's nearly on the doorstep, but I've never really been there before. Well, I've never been there before until I went for a meeting about 3 months ago.
Is that off the back of what you did last year? Because you did some talks last year, didn't you?
No, that was just, I don't know, just asked me.
Wow. Very fun.
Newspaper and
Yeah.
Instagram and stuff, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Nice to get
What are we
some.
doing tonight?
No, what are we doing tonight?
We can do something a little bit different. I mean, not that different, really. We're still chatting about gardening, but we've got a returning guest.
Yes, a very exclusive club returning guests on our podcast. I think there's only been
Yeah,
some people that have
it's not
actually,
many, is there?
probably 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's an author, an ecologist, a botanist, and of course a gardener, more importantly. Let's welcome back Becky Searle at So Much More.
Hello.
Hello.
Evening. Sorry, I was rambling on about my weekend.
It's all right. That was really interesting about the Wimbledon grass being the most expensive plant in the world, though.
Unbelievable, isn't it? 9 tons of seed. That's a
Crazy.
massive amount.
Although I wonder if it was like gram per gram, I bet there are more expensive plants.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's got to
My
be.
vanilla orchid would be up there.
Definitely.
But yes.
But they do spend a lot of time on that grass, don't they? It's absolutely pristine. At the
It's just,
beginning of
yeah,
Wimbledon.
yeah,
And then they have to sort it out after 2 weeks of constant knackering.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Well, I don't like grass and lawns, but I mean, when it comes to something like Wimbledon, it definitely serves a purpose, doesn't it? So
Of course it does, yeah.
can't really. I mean, you can do it without because is it the French Open where they do it on like that sandy stuff?
That clay, that orangey red clay
Yeah,
stuff. Oh, it's horrible. That stains everything, doesn't it? It gets
yeah.
everywhere. I don't know
Better
why they
off with
wear
grass, I
white.
think.
It's natural clay. It's got to be orange.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Still,
I've seen some muddy grey clay.
What, for making pots out of?
Yeah.
it's stuff the kids bring home. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's Becky then?
Apparently at Wimbledon they actually measure the chlorophyll levels of the grass. That's how crazy they get about the
Wow.
so what they use to measure chlorophyll levels, I'll never know.
It's just a bunch of kids, and they have a chart with the amount of green they can see.
Like a colour chart.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Is
course
it
it
this
is. Yeah,
level of
just go
green
along
or
all
that
the way
level
up.
of green?
Yeah.
You can actually measure chlorophyll amounts by crushing it up and then using like basically a coffee filter to separate all the colours and separate the yeah. But anyway, it's not very
I'm sure we
interesting.
did something like that at school in science.
Yeah, you would have done, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty
Remember
boring. It's the kind of stuff that they do to try and put you off science when you're a kid.
that.
Save all the interesting stuff for like when you're a grown up.
Yeah. What have you been up to then?
Um, yeah, just general stuff really. Trying
What?
I'm quite jealous that you've had some rain because we haven't had any down here in Devon.
I wouldn't
Literally
say it's
none.
much.
We've we've had none at all. Um, so lots of watering. Um, and just harvesting. I don't tend to do an awful lot of gardening in July. July's like my quietest month for gardening. There's
Yeah.
the odd kind of seed sowing and there's the odd transplanting, but generally speaking, it's just kind of harvest, water, that's it, done. So yeah.
Yeah. Everything's well on its way now, isn't it? Or should be.
Yeah, that's it. I did get to go to the Oxford Botanic Gardens at the weekend though, which was lovely. Um, so that was my fun gardening trip of the week.
A week? You do it weekly?
Well, no, not weekly, but this week I did.
Oh,
I
brilliant.
wish I did it weekly.
Fantastic.
So yes.
So I messaged you and said, fancy coming back on and doing a bit of a Mythbuster chat? You said, yeah. You seemed quite excited.
I love a good gardening myth because there are so
Yeah.
many of them, and I think people are a bit coy about saying, "Is this a myth? Is this true?" nowadays.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's a few really good ones that you hear really regularly that it's fun to kind of just pick them with a bit of science, really, because I think a lot of people will
Mm.
kind of blindly accept things sometimes, or, especially when it's something that you hear over and over and over again. Um, People just kind of go, yeah, well, that must be right because loads of people are saying it. And actually, if you unpick it with a little bit of science used, then some of these things you can just save yourself a bit of time and effort by learning how things work. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've got a little bit of a list that people have sent to us. Mark's got a couple, I think,
Okay.
and I think you've got a couple you want to talk about
I've
as
got a
well. Do
couple.
you want to
Yeah,
start off the one?
depending on how we get on with the first two lists.
Oh, go on then. I'll do one. Since we've been talking about watering,
Yeah.
um, watering when it's sunny can burn the plants.
Yeah,
So this frustrates me. It really frustrates me.
yeah, so many people say this, and it's just simply not true. What it can do is it can, when there's water on the leaves, it can soften the leaves and basically make it easier for some things like leaf miners and things like that to get inside the leaves. And what this does is it creates the appearance of it being burnt, which is why people have kind of come up with this myth. But honestly,
Ah,
go out of water on top of the leaves in blazing sunshine. The thing is that doing that, you're not going to burn your plants. It doesn't work like that. But it is a bit of a waste of water because
yeah.
the water sits on the leaves and then it evaporates. So
Mm,
there's no point in doing it. But if you want to have an experiment with it, it's not going to burn your plants. So
no,
yeah, but that's so, I mean, it's so common to hear people say that.
all the
So
time.
common.
I heard someone. I was listening to a certain radio station at the weekend, and they had an expert on there, and they said exactly that. Don't water in the midday sun because it'll burn your leaves. And I was going, ah,
Doesn't I've never, yeah, it scientifically it can't happen. I mean, garden leaves are covered in water all the time,
yeah.
so they're made of water. Water does not
And
burn leaves.
I always think the farmers, like they have been for the last probably 4 or 5 weeks, have been irrigating 24/7.
Yeah,
They can't stop for 8 hours through the hot period in the day because there's not enough time in the day.
yeah,
And whatever they're watering isn't burning, and whatever is it?
exactly, exactly. I mean, yeah, you can just go out and give it a try, really.
Yeah.
Throw some water around. As long as you got some water to spare. We don't have any water to spare down here.
No.
Yeah,
I
we're
think the
very
old
low
hose
on
pipe
water.
bans are going to be kicking in, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean we're like forecast some water this week, but they keep promising us rain and then it keeps not showing up, and it's so disappointing when you're a gardener. Like I literally am waking up like every day. You know when you're like, I don't know, you've ordered something online and you've
Yeah.
been looking forward to it for like months and months, and then like every day like, is today the day that it's going to arrive? That's how I feel about rain right now. And so every day I'm like, first thing in the morning I'm waking up checking the weather forecast. Is it going to rain today? Oh no, they've cancelled it again. No.
John.
So yeah, that's quite literally how I'm feeling at the moment. So yeah.
I've got another little thing about water. I don't
Hmm.
know if it's a myth or not, but everybody says, I thought about this yesterday when I was pulling up some bolted lettuce because I've got bloody loads of it now.
Hmm.
Um, pulled them up, and the roots are literally 2 inches, 3 inches, in a little tiny little ball.
Mhm.
And everybody says, deep water, flood the plants, let it go right the way down because your roots will go down. And I don't think that's right, because wherever you water, it has to go through that high bit anyway before it gets to the deep bit. I'm sure
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt, but even if you don't deep water every time, it's not. Oh, do you know what I'm trying to say?
The thing is that in that top layer, you're going to have more evaporation. So in the
Yeah,
top layer, more water is lost through that layer kind of warming up and getting the sun on it and then evaporating. And so if you can water so that it goes below that top layer, then basically you've got more chance of the plants actually getting that water rather than it just evaporating before it even reaches them. With
but if the root
lettuces,
balls are only that small anyway,
yeah, so
most of
lettuces,
my veg out there, sorry, most of my veg out there are annuals, and they've only got shallow roots anyway, apart from the root
yeah,
crops.
yeah. So most things will have kind of a couple of deeper roots. Lettuce are
Right.
notorious for having really, really shallow roots, but they also have a shadow around them, which if you can water inside that shadow where the leaves are kind of protecting the ground, as it were, the leaves then prevent the evaporation. So actually you've got
Yeah.
more water in the top layers of the soil underneath a lettuce plant than you would have, say, underneath a parsnip, where
Yeah.
there's nothing to stop the evaporation. Now, what you do need to do is make sure that you are watering really, really close to the lettuce, because the roots
Mm,
do go out a little bit, but not too much. But this is one of the reasons why we need to water lettuce so much. I mean, the main reason is because if we don't, it goes all, ugh.
yeah.
Doesn't taste very nice.
No.
But lettuce do need a lot of water. That's just one of those things, sadly. But they like a
Yeah.
soil that really holds on to the water as well, so you don't have to keep irrigating them.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
they're
Like I say,
nice
mine have.
red clay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got loads that have bolted now. I'm just so gutted, but what can you do?
Yeah, but it's just a normal part of their life cycle, and it's just,
Mm,
part of the ebb and flow of gardens, really. And there's only so much watering that you can do to try and extend that. All you can do is extend their life. You can't ever stop them from bolting, or from
no.
flowering. So we call it bolting, don't we? And that's actually like that's kind of a negative term, because bolting is obviously what happens if something doesn't give you a crop.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Before it
if
does
it's
crop.
just gone straight from kind of seed going straight to
Mm,
it's germinated, got straight to flower, and that's when it's bolted. But we use it to also, when something like a lettuce that we might have been harvesting from that lettuce for the last 3 months, and then we go, oh no, now it's bolted. But actually, no, now it's gone to flower, it's gone to seed, because
yeah.
that's what it's supposed to do. Um, Definitely keep those lettuces in the ground though. If you've got more that have bolted, keep them in the ground, let them flower. They're really, really good for the biodiversity of your vegetable garden or of your allotment. And then you can also save the seeds. And then the seeds that you save will be more resilient to the drought in the following years.
Ah, fantastic. I always do keep some. I've got some onions and leeks, parsnips, and carrots, which are all going to seed at the moment. So I'll leave some lettuces dotted around as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't tend to leave all of them, but I just because I want to use the space, but I definitely leave a couple at
Yeah.
You
Well, I
least.
literally
had.
need like one of each plant, don't you, really? And
Yeah,
I,
I mean
enough
you
seed on
yeah.
one plant.
and definitely if you're saving them for the seeds, then choose the best plant, choose the biggest, healthiest,
Mm,
strongest one, remove the others, and because you're basically selectively breeding then the
Yeah.
best one, so that
mm,
you then get the seeds from the best one. Um, but yeah, the flowers, if you can just keep them there for the flowers, then
definitely.
the
Yeah.
insects will thank you.
I would say I must have had 6 or 7 parsnips up until about a week and a half ago, and then I actually studied it and thought, I don't need literally probably 3 million parsnip seeds.
Yeah,
There's so many seeds on one plant; it's unbelievable.
yeah, they're
So I
brilliant,
pulled
aren't
all the
they?
other ones up and kept one, like you said, one the big, nice big one. I kept that, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just about ready to take the seeds off now.
I've got Swiss chard that is left over from last year, and Swiss chard takes forever because it
Yeah.
bolts, it goes to seed, and then the seeds take a long, 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 long time to develop. So I probably won't be harvesting the seeds until like next month, maybe even the month after. And it's like this tower. It's like 10 foot tall, this chard.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like swaying around 'cause it's really windy out there at the moment, like bashing into everything. I'm gonna have chard everywhere. If it does this when the seeds are like germinated, when the seeds are ready, it's just gonna like spray them far and wide in my allotment. But it's that amazing pink peppermint chard, and
Oh, I
it's
love
just
that.
gonna
Yeah,
look outrageous. So yeah, I'm here for it. It'll be fun.
definitely. And chard's got an amazing flower, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a kind of a non-flowery flower, but
It's a
it
weird
really
looking.
does. It's almost like amaranth. It's that kind of
Yeah.
flower. It's like a sort of tassels of random sort of
Mm,
greenish yellow. Yeah, it doesn't look like a flower basically,
no, not at
but
all.
it's not the
Yeah.
most attractive thing, but it's certainly holding court on my allotment at the moment,
Mm,
shall we say. So it's fun.
definitely. Mark, what's one of yours?
Hang on.
Oh, he's gone.
There you go, look.
Ah, yes, there it is.
Not really very
It's not.
flower-like.
It's not 10 foot
Also,
tall either, Mark.
definitely not 10 foot tall, no. That's quite tall, though.
Oh, hold on. And you just ripped it out of the ground.
No, I cut it off the other day because it was just leaning on top of everything else.
Ah,
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah, mine's gonna fall over at some point, and it's gonna be like one of those massive, like ancient oaks falling down and crushing an entire town, you know? It's like the stem is probably that. Like it's quite
It's like a
literally
rhubarb.
like yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's bigger than that. It's massive. It's really big. I would say it's probably 5 inches across the stem. It's nuts.
And
So
when you
next year's will be bigger.
eventually pull that out, the actual is it a
Root.
tuber? The root is massive, great things, aren't they?
Yeah, so it's just like a beetroot. It's the same
Yeah.
sort of thing as a beetroot, only don't eat it with
Mm,
chard because it's not very nice. But I actually don't pull them out. I cut them off at the ground.
yeah.
So I just get a pruning saw and cut them off at the ground. They then resprout, which is fun, which you have to take the sprouts off because it never comes back quite as well as it was in the first
No,
place. But yeah,
I did that last year, and they whatever came through first time, this year weren't very good, so
yeah.
I had it out.
It's like cabbages,
Just,
if you cut them off at ground level, they'll resprout, but it won't ever give you like a full lovely head of cabbage again. It just kind of is a bit lame in the following years. So if you
right.
just take those sprouts off, it kills the stump off. So
Mm,
that's what I do for that. But
yeah, right.
yes, hopefully we'll have loads of self-sown ones because the self-sown ones always do like much, much better than the ones that I can lovingly raise in my greenhouse. Yes. Um,
Always the way.
so we were discussing earlier another myth, and that was Epsom salts. Shall we discuss Epsom salts?
Let's do it.
We're not talking about for the bath.
No, not for the
No, we're
bath,
not.
because as well, in my previous life before I worked in gardening, I worked as a sports massage and soft tissue injury specialist,
All right.
and I would use Epsom salts to try and help the muscle recovery because it does help muscle recovery. And I was horrified then, as an ecologist, because I was an ecologist before this, then to find out that people in the gardening world use it on their gardens. I was like, sorry, what? Because it's basically magnesium salt. So if it was, I think it's like magnesium sulfate is the chemical
Yeah.
thing. Um,
This sounds nasty on its own.
it does sound quite nasty, and certainly like you can sit in the bath in it and it's quite relaxing, but I'm pretty sure that the plants, if you made them bath in it, would be going, ah! um, because obviously salt is really drying for a start. It also creates acidity. and it just sort of changes the pH in the soil, it changes the way that the water behaves in the soil, and it's just not a good thing for the plants. So if it's salinification, I can't remember how to say that word.
Making the soil saline.
Making the soil saline is not a good thing. Um, it's really not good for our plant health, and so adding Epsom salts is doing that essentially. The reason that people do it though is because Epsom salts is magnesium and sulfur essentially. It's the chemical compound is made from magnesium, sulfur, and oxygen, I think. I'm not a chemist, but that's my understanding of it. And obviously plants need magnesium and plants need sulfur, and magnesium supports flowering and it supports photosynthesis, and sulfur is a micronutrient that kind of aids with lots of functions within plants as well. However, these two things are micronutrients, which means that they are needed in microscopic amounts. And if our plants get them in large amounts, they can't process them. And then if those large amounts are also creating salty soil, which is bad for the plants, then yeah, it's all sorts of bad. So don't put it on the soil. Your soil already has magnesium and sulfur in it. You don't need to add any. That's my 2 cents on that.
But it's been a thing forever, hasn't it?
Yeah, I
Epsom
mean,
salts is the oldest trick in the book. Well, oldest bad trick in the book.
so the thing with all of these sorts of things is that people want to do something to their gardens. People want to treat their gardens. This is like it's instinct for us. If we see something ailing in our garden, we want to have a solution. We want to fix it straight away. It's like, if your kid comes to you and says, "I've hurt my knee, I've fallen over and hurt my knee. I'll get a plaster." You want to have an answer to these things. And
Mm.
so there's lots and lots of these things that have come up. And another one that we'll get to in a minute is coffee grounds. Um, but a lot of these things have come up as a result of people wanting to have something to do. So they've gone, well, I know that whatever's happening to my plant is as a result of a magnesium deficiency, for example. Therefore, this product contains lots of magnesium. I'll add that. And they kind of joined the dots and sort of added two and two and made five. Um, and so I think it's as a result of people wanting to help and genuinely caring about their plants and wanting there to just be a really easy solution, whereas usually there isn't an easy solution. But when it comes to things like micronutrients, all you need to add to your soil is something to feed the life in the soil. So compost or well-rotted manure, something that is going to just get the life going in the soil, who will then release those nutrients to your
Mm.
plants. It's a slow burner, but it's not going to slowly kill your plants either.
So a plant will not only take up exactly what it needs, it will take up, if it's there, it will just keep sucking it up.
That's not really how it works. It kind of plants will take up more than they need if it's hanging in suspension in the water.
Yeah.
So if it's dissolved in the water, they will take up more than they need,
Mm.
which can be detrimental. But it's plants are really, really good at regulating the amount of nutrients that they've got in their tissues. It's just that we can't add something that's then kind of giving on the one hand and taking away on the other. So with Epsom salts, because they're salty, and they salinify, there we go, the soil, then then it's kind of giving with one hand and taking away with the other. And if it's a lack of magnesium, really, there's kind of easier ways to solve that, and it is literally just feeding the soil.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah. I recently bought some. Now I call it samphire because this is where we grow it in Norfolk, but a lot of people call it samphire. I bought some samphire plants,
Hmm.
and they need salt.
Hmm.
So I put a
Yes.
teaspoon of salt in the in a litre, and they
Yep.
have it like that.
Hmm.
But they need it because they're a
They
sea
need
plant.
it. Yep, they're a
Mm.
sea plant and they are really hard to look after. Because
Wow,
it's
mine
very
are doing
hard.
really well. Touch
That's
wood.
that's great. Yeah, I've tried with Samphire and not had an awful lot of success. Um, but yeah, some plants, like you say, they are literally designed. That's what they do. But most plants, and particularly in the soil, really, really salty soil is not good for the life in the soil either, so it's not going to be good for anything else. So if you're growing
No.
samphire, grow in a pot and make
Mhm.
sure that that pot has the right environment, but don't try and create the right environment in your garden by chucking loads of salt around everywhere.
No, mine are definitely in a lovely big pot.
Or just grow them down at the local salt marsh if you're in Norfolk.
Yeah, been down there and harvested it many a time.
Oh, lovely. I used to do that when I lived in Norfolk, actually. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Brilliant.
So, should we
Right,
do
what's
coffee
that?
grounds?
Coffees, yeah.
It's come up.
Coffee grounds to
Yes.
acidify soil.
Coffee grounds do acidify the soil. Um, Again, this is one of those people want a way to kind of help their plants. They want to do something. Coffee grounds seems great. Coffee grounds are not great for your plants, but they're not too bad in low quantities. And so when this kind of myth, it's not really a myth because using coffee grounds is fine. Um, but when this first came about, it was like, if you have a cup of coffee in the morning and you have some grounds, you can put them in your garden. Nowadays, I've taken my wheelbarrow down to my local Costa and filled it up with coffee grounds and I've chucked it in. It's one of these things, it's like all things in moderation. And again, with the Epsom salts, if people used it in a lot of moderation, it would be fine. But people don't want to use it in moderation. They always think that more is better. So well, coffee grounds are really good for my compost heap or for my garden. So therefore, I'm going to add a load of them because I can get
Mm,
hold of a load of them. And actually, they're fine in really small amounts, but don't scale that up to going to get some from Costa or Nero or something like that, where they just give them away because they figured out that gardeners will take them away for free and they don't need to pay to dispose of them.
yeah.
So, yeah. But they will acidify your soil if you use them too much. The other thing to consider with coffee grounds is that if you're adding them to your compost heap, which I would recommend adding them to your compost heap rather than adding them onto your beds, um, is to make sure that you're remembering that they are actually green when you're adding them to the compost heap. They count
Brown.
as green matter
Okay.
rather than brown
Hmm.
matter. So
Right.
you need to balance them with some brown matter. So
Yeah.
something woody, some cardboard, something like that. So yeah.
I
But
did
it's one of my
actually see a
bugbears,
post.
people getting loads of coffee and adding it to their
Yeah,
gardens.
I saw a
I
post
imagine their
this
plants
week.
going,
Somebody done it this week on Instagram. I saw a post and they'd got bags and bags of it and just put it, basically mulched the garden with it. And I'm thinking, wow.
yikes. Yeah,
Mm,
I mean, to be honest, if it's healthy soil, it can probably cope with it. It's just that people do this over and over and over again, and it's not
yeah,
good. Most soil can cope with a little bit of Epsom salt or a little bit of coffee grounds. You're not going to really notice a difference, but if you keep doing it and you keep doing it in huge amounts, then yeah, it's creating more of a problem. And when you go take it back a step and you think, well, maybe I just won't bother doing it in the first place, then that's where we should be.
yeah,
And it's
definitely.
also only temporary. If you're trying to grow a plant in what most people would have is neutral soil, if you're trying to grow a acidic plant in that neutral soil, you're never going to
Mm,
give it acidic soil. You're going to
yeah.
create a little bit of acidity, but it's never going to be permanent.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. So you kind of can't, I mean, the only way you can do that really, you can't, like, I'm constantly saying this to people, you can't change the soil that you have. Um, the only way to do that is to grow in a pot, and kind of pot's a really convenient way of doing that. So we don't have to give up on growing something that we really love just because we don't have the right soil for it. We just have to grow it somewhere else. But it's again another gardening myth is this adding sand to improve drainage. That that really bugs me.
Mhm.
Because that doesn't work either. But so many people do it, and I think I quite often wonder how much sand you would need to add to actually improve the drainage. Um, Essentially, what people are trying to do is turn their clay soil, presumably, if they're needing to add drainage, it's clay soil. They're trying to make their
Mhm.
clay soil sandy. But what happens is clay particles just close in around the sand particles,
Yeah.
and so it just becomes grainy clay, um, which is, yeah, it just doesn't work. So if we do want to improve the drainage in our garden, what we do need to do is add organic matter. The organic matter then helps to stick the particles together in irregular shapes, which helps to create spaces between those irregular shapes, and that's where the drainage is. So
Right.
if you want to improve the drainage, organic matter rather than sand.
But that's ideally not digging it in, just putting it on the top.
Just putting it on the top, yeah. Which is, so when you come to something like Wimbledon, that's where the sand is used. And this is a lot of the time when people are trying to improve their drainage, they're doing it on something like grass, because you don't really want to put a whole load of compost on a whole load of grass, because you're going to kind of flatten the grass and you're going to have to start again. I mean, long grass will be able to cope with compost going over it as long as you rake it in properly. Short grass, like they've got at Wimbledon, definitely won't be able to cope with the compost on top of it, whereas you can put sand in it, and therefore, all you're doing in that instance is you are basically creating a sandy layer on the top of the soil by adding so much sand that eventually your grass roots are not even barely touching that clay. But if
Yeah.
they had any drainage problems at Wimbledon, the sand wouldn't fix it.
No,
So,
definitely not.
so yeah, save yourself some bob, I reckon, by not buying any sand, and adding some organic matter instead. And if you have got a lawn and you want to add organic matter, you can add something like biochar instead, which is kind of fine granular. You can get it in fine granular, and add that, and that will add organic matter to the soil
Yeah.
without smothering the grass.
So while we're talking about putting organic matter on the top, let's talk about no dig maybe. Because I can remember when I was a kid, I'm not saying I used to help because I was too small, but my dad used to double dig the whole plot, and that used to take days. But that's a no-no now. I think lots of people realise why, but can you tell us why?
Yeah, so I mean, digging or double digging is bad news for the soil health, because the soil is an ecosystem. The things that live in that ecosystem are designed for life underground. If you dig them, not only do you kind of break apart the structure of the ecosystem, so if you imagine like a forest with all the kind of understory stuff and the birds and the butterflies and everything else that lives in a forest, but upside down, um, going in and digging it is kind of like going in and just bulldozing all the trees and chopping all the bushes, and going, right, there we go, that's better. um, so what it does, obviously, when you're digging and double digging, is it creates a fine texture. It also releases loads of nutrients, which is how this practice came about, because plants grow better after soil has been dug. And the reason for this is because there's this whole load of nutrients released. The reason that there's a whole load of nutrients released is because it's billions of tiny little lives inside the soil dying. And as they die, they release the nutrients from their bodies, and that gives our plants a big hit of nutrients early on in the season, and then the nutrients kind of go like that, and then they slope off again. Whereas
Ah,
if you are no digging and you are building the soil health, you're going to have the nutrient value of your soil going up and up and up steadily over time. If you are doing the digging, you'll get loads and loads of nutrients, and then the nutrient value will start going down, and it over time it will go down and down and down. So no dig is really good for the soil, builds soil health. The soil life will release the nutrients to your plants. The more soil life you have, the more nutrients will be released to your plants. Your soil health and your plant health will go up, but it will be slower than if you dig. So you'll find that if you dig, wow, amazing results. If you no dig somewhere that's never been dug before, then you might find it pretty frustrating in comparison. But after time, the no dig one will be a lot healthier than the one that's dug. I hope
Yeah.
that
So
makes
yeah,
sense. Clears it up.
yeah, it does lots of sense. So just take my allotment, for instance. So my allotment was part of a horse field. I stole part of my wife's horse field and I put raised beds on it, scaffold boards type things,
Hmm.
because I like my straight edges.
Hmm.
And I filled them with compost.
Hmm.
And I haven't dug that since for 5 years now. I've put more, couple of 3 inches of compost on top every year. That is now classed as no dig, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So does it take that long to start getting the goodness in that top bit that I've put in?
It really just takes about a year. So
Right.
you'll find that the adding the compost adds a load of nutrients anyway. And then the health of the soil will start to build kind of straight away. But what happens when we dig is that the health of is that we dig and we release all these nutrients, all the things die, and then the soil health gradually starts to improve through the year because we've got things growing in it. And
Yeah.
with the plants that are growing in it, the soil health begins to build. And then we get to the end of the year and then we dig again. So with digging, we're kind of constantly bashing it. It's like the forest analogy again. If we're going in and chopping down all the trees, we can
Mm,
expect that after 20 years, the trees will have regrown and the forest ecosystem will be looking very similar to how it was looking when
yeah.
you cut it all down in the first place. But if you do that every year, it's going to get worse and worse and worse until eventually it's just going to be a barren land where nothing
Yeah.
grows because you keep disturbing it. And it's the same sort of thing with the
Mm,
soil. So yeah,
right.
I can try and make a reel of that. I don't know
Yeah.
which bit you mean,
We can
but
definitely flip it up.
but yes. So no dig is definitely the way to go, but if you are struggling with it, that is why. So just give it some time.
And it's so much easier. Oh my God.
So much easier, yeah. Yeah.
So with no
Although,
digging, does
yeah.
that mean every year after your first year, your soil should be getting better and better?
Yeah, your soil should be getting better and better with every moment that you leave it alone, basically, as long as you've got plants in the ground, because the soil needs to interact with plants. That's the crux of it, really. If you don't have plants in the ground, aka you've just harvested, it's too late in the year to sow anything, put some organic matter down, and then the soil still has something to eat.
Mm,
But as long as that interaction is happening, the soil is eating something. So either the carbohydrates from plants or the carbohydrates from dead plant matter, then yeah, your soil health is going up.
just talking about that, about having too late in the year, so you can't grow anything. So you put some organic matter on the top. I've heard experts say, don't do that because all the goodness will leach away and you'll end up with worse than before.
Yeah, I mean, it can be true if you are adding it in massive amounts. So you can find that the nutrients will leach out of that compost. Yes. However, the compost is still feeding the soil,
Mm.
unless, of course, you are on a slope and you put it
It's
there
just
in
running away.
November and it just all disappears. If it's actually staying there, what you've added is essentially pure carbon with some nutrients involved. And as long as there's some carbon for the life in the soil to eat, then we're good. And the life in the soil will release the nutrients from the particles and from the sediments in the soil and everything like that for you. So there will be nutrients in that compost that do leach away, which is the reason that this is really negative is is that if you are near a waterway and those excess nutrients, so if you're doing this on a farming scale, for example, and you
Hmm.
lay a load of manure on your fields, you spray the manure in, say, November, and then you don't grow anything on that field until the following March. But the water on that field kind of leaches all the nutrients into the nearest waterway, then that waterway is going to be polluted by those nutrients. Excess nutrients in waterways leads to algal blooms. The algae basically chokes the water, it cuts off the sunlight to the plants underneath, which then means that the water doesn't have any oxygen in it and everything in the water starts to die. So that's really, really negative effect. But if you're doing this in a garden setting, a much, much smaller scale, then yeah, what you can do is if you are worried about it, you can cover that as well. So you can put some compost down and then you can cover it too. But generally speaking, something like a field bean or fava beans, they're called, you can just sow them pretty much any time of the year and they work perfectly. So
I was just about to say, would you recommend green manures then?
absolutely. But what I do with green manures is they recommend that you kind of dig them into the soil, but I don't do
Mm.
that. So I would cut mine off at ground level, and then add them to the compost heap so that I have
Yeah.
compost then for the following year and leave the roots in the soil to break down. And it
Hmm.
works great. You do have
Yeah.
to, again, you do have to take off a few of those little reshoots from field beans, but not very many. You can
No.
just tread on them. What's this comment? Let me just have a little read. Do you recommend putting straw on strawberry plants? Yeah, so straw on strawberry plants is great when you have a dry climate. But in our climate, it's not so good. Some people find that they have success with it. Not in my experience. It will be a great hiding place for slugs and snails. Those
Yeah.
tiny little slugs love um, strawberries as well. So what I tend to try and do is try and grow strawberries kind of either hanging over the edge of something, or just make sure that the ground's nice and clear. So there isn't very much habitat for things to hide around strawberries. But there's always something eating your strawberries, isn't there?
Oh,
I've got a
constantly.
two-year-old niece, and she's the biggest strawberry thief there is.
Yeah, you can let her off, surely.
She comes back with covered in strawberry juice and the big round tummy, and like,
Was it
wonder
me?
who's been having them. So let's, our native tap-rooted weeds are great for regenerating our soil. It's fabulous for the soil to keep throwing seed heads like dandelion. Yeah, so it is really good to keep throwing seeds on the ground. And like I just said, the self-sown ones and the native ones are really, really good. But obviously, if you're trying to grow vegetables, then you don't really want to be broadcast sowing weed seeds. Um, because they just compete with the vegetables. But if you want to, if you are just setting out with the sole aim of growing decent, healthy soil, then absolutely do that. Just bear in mind that if you want to get rid of them, they're going to be more difficult to get rid of because they broadcast their own seeds as well. So I would
Mm.
keep to something like sunflowers. Sunflowers have really deep roots. They are incredible at bringing nutrients up from under the ground. They're really good at building soil structure. And
Oh,
then if
wow.
you don't want them anymore, you just take them away. You can just cut them down. They might need an axe, so they get quite big after a while.
Some of them are amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're really easy to get rid of. If you don't want sunflowers anymore, you can just get rid of them. Whereas dandelions, you might spend the rest of your life fighting them. So it's really entirely up to you. Although
Mm.
on the flip side of that, a dandelion's only that big, whereas a sunflower. So yeah,
I've got
swings and
loads of
roundabouts.
self-sown ones this year, and it's mainly in two beds where they were last year, and I've just left them. I could have quite easily pulled them up when they were seedlings, but I thought, no, sod it, I'll leave them.
Yeah, I did the same actually. My kids are calling them the poop sunflowers, because they're quite clearly in a bit of bird poo when they started to germinate. And they're looking amazing. I can see them from my window
Mm.
actually here, and they've got probably 25 heads per sunflower. The
Oh,
incredible
brilliant.
thing is that I only started my allotment. Um, in December the year before last, and last year not one of my sunflowers made it through to flowering. So I had no, that's not true. I had some tiny little like miniature sunflowers, but most of my sunflowers were eaten because last year was the year of the slug. It was a brand new allotment. There was
Mm.
loads of things were struggling. So I don't actually know where these sunflowers have come from because nobody else on the allotment side is growing sunflowers either. So
All right.
somewhere a bird has found a sunflower, eaten the seeds, and then sown it on my bed, and they're looking
Brilliant.
amazing. So I'm
There
very
you go.
grateful to that bird.
Nature is best.
Artistic design.
Yeah. Mark, what's your myth?
One of mine was about crop rotation. Is it
Yes.
worthwhile?
So in some cases, yes, crop rotation is worthwhile, and in others, not really. So where it is worthwhile is if you've got some problems in the soil. So a good example of this is white rot in onions, for example. If you have white rot in your soil or clubroot, for example, um, and you plant onions back into that soil the following year, they're going to get white rot again. And it's similarly with brassicas. If you have clubroot in your soil and you just keep planting brassicas in there, don't start to wonder why you're always getting clubroot. It's because you're just planting it back into the same contaminated soil. So in that case, the soil does need to rest. It needs to have basically um, a gap between those crops, but over time rather than distance. And so you can just then sow those crops somewhere else, so in a different bed, for example. But I don't observe like a proper rotation. What I do instead is try and have crops that are kind of dotted around with one another so that there's as much biodiversity per bed as possible. So
Mm.
instead of there being one bed that's just all onions, I'll do one bed that has a few onions in it, and then another bed that has a few onions in it, and then another bed that has a few onions in it, and then mix those in with other plants. Um, and I don't worry too much about, these plants don't like that plant or that plant doesn't like that plant. In my experience, that's kind of untrue as well. Um, and so I just try and create as much biodiversity per bed as possible. And then things like clubroot and white rot and stuff never really get to take hold. But if they did, I would just cancel doing anything in that bed for a couple of years
I'll
and just
do
move it to the
anything
other
to
beds.
completely leave it then.
No,
But you
I
can't
would
grow
grow.
anything else.
No, I'd grow everything else,
Oh,
just
right. Okay. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
onions. Or
Yeah. Yeah.
if it was white rot, I would avoid any alliums in that bed for 3 years. If it was clubroot, similarly, no brassicas for
Hmm.
3 or 4 years. So yeah, but you can grow anything else.
Yeah.
I've done the
Um,
same. I've had white rot in my veg garden. It was the old veg garden. Even though I've built a new veg garden, I've not put any alliums in. I've grown all of my onions at work, so there's like no alliums anywhere. So I'll
yeah,
just keep it clear for another couple of years, just to make
yeah, that's it. It's just good to have
sure.
a bit of separation between them so that the white rot basically then just doesn't have anything to eat because white rot eats alliums.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't have any alliums in the ground, it's just going to die off. So
Mm.
yeah. So I was just dropping my name in there for
I spotted that. I thought I was just about to
design
thank someone for doing
design
that.
in
Oh,
my view. No, that was me. I can multitask. Um, I also have a book. I will mention that I have a book. It's called Grow a New Garden, and it explains lots of things about
It's
soil
a
and
fantastic book.
how to get a garden going in a completely organic way. So yeah, check the book out.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
I'm trying to think of some more garden myths now.
I've got a
Um,
whole list here if you want me
go for
to
it.
pull one up.
My brain's gone blank.
We're going through them quite quickly. We didn't realise
Yeah.
actually. What about hardening off? The whole hardening off thing.
Yeah. So
Do we
hardening
need to
off,
harden off?
you can harden off if you like. But
I never have, to be honest.
no, I usually don't bother. Some plants are an exception to this. But for example, if you want to grow a chili plant outdoors, it's probably going to need hardening off, but you're never really going to be able to change the genetic conditions of the plant to make it a cold hardy plant. So don't bother. What I do is leave the door and the window open on my greenhouse because it kind of lowers the temperature. It gets them
Just
used
lowers
to
the
that
temperature at
temperature
night
lowering
time.
down a bit. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Um,
You say about chilies, I've planted some chili plants out, but our temperatures in the evening have been 18, 19 probably anyway. So
and that's it.
so
It's
they're all
better
right.
exactly. It's better to kind of wait until the nighttime temperatures are a bit higher and then plant out. A lot
Yeah.
of people want to go really early on these things, and I get that because this time of year, stuff like watering becomes an issue. Um, so I understand wanting to plant out early, but actually anything's going to have a bit of a shock if you plant out too early. Whereas if you get to over 10 degrees at night, most things will be absolutely fine. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
When
Uh,
it comes to things like tall things, hardening them off in the wind, now that's different because some plants are like sunflowers is a good example actually. Sunflowers will grow really like kind of weedy and spindly in a greenhouse. They'll grow really
mm,
tall. And then if you have a sunflower that starts its life outside, is self-sown or you've direct sown it, it will be much thicker. Now, part of the reason for this is because it's not reaching for the sun. It's not as hot, so its growth is a bit steadier. But also it will be subject to an amount of wind rock. And wind rock, all it does is kind of push the plant one way, so the plant thickens up its stem on that side to push it up, right? And then the wind will rock it that way, and it'll thicken up on that side. And what you end up getting is just a thickening of the stem as it goes up.
ah,
So this is how it works on trees. So when you plant a tree, if it's not subject to any windrock at all, so you've completely anchored it to the ground, and you see this happening quite a lot with like trees that are planted in public places where they have those straps around them to stop them from rocking at all.
hmm
But what this means is that the trunk never hardens up,
Yeah.
and therefore they're a lot more susceptible to wind rock anyway. So you're actually better off trying to, if it's in a particularly windy area, creating a ground anchor where you're anchoring the root stock rather than you're anchoring the trunk, allowing the trunk to have some wind rock and anchoring the root instead. So that's kind of a slightly different thing, but yeah.
Is that why a lot of the times they put in a stake low down 45 degrees now and not all the way up?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah,
trunk can
so
still move.
yeah, so if you anchored, so a ground anchor basically looks like a frame
Mm,
on the ground. It's just to
right.
stop because obviously when it's newly planted, if it's rocking and the roots are just coming up and all the roots are
Yeah.
kind of ripping every time it gets rocked, then that's obviously not good for the plant. But
Yeah.
you can kind of just anchor the plants into the ground and just try and leave the trunk to do its own thing.
Mm, brilliant.
So yeah.
And you can
Mm,
also, on trees, you can anchor them too much because at my work, it was all new planted trees, and a few of the trees, they didn't give enough movement in the wires that they put down.
Yeah,
So after 10 years taking the wires away, they were still had no root
that's it.
underneath.
That's
yeah.
it. Because they don't learn to develop those roots. So you really need to take that anchor away after probably 12 months. Once it's pretty well established, take it away in spring when it's much less likely to be subject to high winds for the next few months. And then what you'll find is that by autumn, when the high winds start to develop, that it's good to go. But yeah. It's one of those things we need to tell everybody about this because it's usually council workers that do this.
Yeah.
We all need to stop hampering the plants too much, basically.
Exactly.
Let
And
nature do its thing.
like we said at the beginning, this is because we care so much. We want to do something. We want to go over and above for our plants, don't we? But maybe we should start like putting that energy into like our children or our pets or something and just leave letting our plants do their
Yeah.
thing. So yes,
Going back to the forest things, self-seeded trees in woods and anywhere, they're not anchored. They're not. They're fine.
that's different though, because they are protected by the canopy of the forest. And forests are really interesting in the way that they work because they grow close together so that they are all protected. So the trees want to grow in a big unit as a forest because then the wind can't actually get into the canopy to pull the trees down. And what you'll find is that there's lots of young sapling trees inside the forest, so that if a big tree does come down, perhaps it's a bit old, perhaps the wind did manage to get in, a big tree comes down and you have a sapling there waiting to shoot up, grow, and fill that part of the canopy to protect all the trees around it.
Wow.
So, yeah, forests are a bit different, but very interesting.
Very. Mm.
So, yeah, and this is a good point actually. So, um, Design in My View has just said to many people learn what they do in their gardens by seeing it done elsewhere, like council workers and stuff, and then
Yeah.
they just think, well, that must be the best way to do things. And actually, I think at one point that probably was the best way that we knew how to do things, but there hasn't been any real questioning of these practices. It's kind of one of those, it ain't broke, so let's not fix it kind of things.
No.
And actually, there just needs to be a bit more communication, perhaps between the scientific community and the gardening community, so that we kind of can pass on a "you don't have to work so hard, guys" message.
Exactly, and that's why we do podcasts like this. What about a couple of tomato ones? If my tomatoes get blight, can I compost the leaves, the plants?
Yes, yes, you can.
Oh, will it not pass on through the compost? No.
No, because blight doesn't live in compost. It lives as spores. The reason that people believe that it comes back in the compost is because blight is so common. Blight is kind of one of those things that we get every year. Whether you like it or
Depends
not,
when it
you're going to
comes.
get
Yeah.
blight. Yeah, the only question is whether you're going to get it early in the year or whether you're going to get it late in the year.
When? Yeah.
And, we want to get it late in the year rather than early in the year. But absolutely, you can compost blighted material. What I wouldn't do is compost it close to where you've got your tomatoes. So don't grow your tomatoes in a polytunnel and have the compost heap right at the end of the polytunnel with all the blighted stuff just spitting all the spores back
Yeah.
out. So take it away, put it in an enclosed compost heap so that it's not just then gonna throw the spores out and pass them on to everybody else. But I mean, I've had blight. I remember I was at Hampton Court a few years ago giving some talks, and I was there for a few days. And when I came back, I had blight on my tomatoes. And Hampton Court's first weekend of July, so that was gutting because July is like way too early to be facing
Oh
things like
God.
blight.
Yeah.
Um, and I managed to keep those tomatoes going until October
Wow.
Wow.
just by being diligent about taking the leaves off when I saw blight,
Pruning them off.
being really thorough about checking out. I had 50 tomato plants that year, so it was a big job. But I was really thorough about taking the leaves off. If there was a plant that was too far gone, the whole plant came out, but I still managed to get a pretty good crop out of it. And also I
Yeah.
was still able to use the blighted tomatoes, providing they weren't too far gone, for chutney. Nobody
Yeah.
knows.
No.
By the time
I've
you
got
chutneyfied them, nobody knows that they looked horrible to start off with.
I got a bit of a story about that a couple of years ago. I can't remember what date it was. It was quite far on in the season, to be honest. And because I normally grow tomatoes outside and in, I have the
Hmm.
same out as I do in. And outside got blight terribly over a weekend, and I cleared them all away, composted them, and then I went into my greenhouse and trimmed all my tomato plants. Just didn't think about it,
Hmm.
and 2 or 3 days later, gone, wiped out my whole
Everything, yeah.
greenhouse.
Yeah.
because I obviously transferred it on my clothes, my hands, my
Yeah,
snips, whatever. Oh,
yeah, that's it.
I just
It's
didn't
just
think
really
about it.
easy to spread, but it doesn't last throughout the winter in your compost heap.
Oh, good. That's good, isn't it? Is
So,
it a
is
good
it a good idea
idea?
to
Go
remove
on,
the
sorry.
sucker leaves from tomato plants? Yes, yes, it is. Because tomatoes will want to make really, really big plants. And what happens when they put out suckers is the suckers aren't as productive as the main um, vine, so they won't produce as many tomatoes, but also it just creates a huge, great big bushy plant, which is more susceptible to something like blight. And if you're growing a couple of tomatoes together, it makes everybody more susceptible to blight. So do take those suckers off and just encourage that upward growth. What you should find is that by the end of the season, so by sort of late September, early October, your tomato plants are like 10 foot tall at least. And they should have loads and loads of trusses on them. And then what you can do at the end of the season, if they are taking a long time to ripen up those tomatoes, cut the top off that vine as well, and then it will just send its energy into ripening up those tomatoes a little bit more for you as well. And then you can harvest them. Especially if you're seeing some blight coming, and you want to
Hmm.
save those tomatoes, harvest them and lay them on a windowsill and get them to ripen up at home.
Talking about
Yes.
suckers, up until this year, if you miss one and it gets really big at the back, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you see flowers on, or maybe a few tomatoes appearing, you think, "Oh, I
Happens
can't, I
like
can't cut it
overnight
off."
sometimes, doesn't it?
I know, but I've normally left them and thought, "No, they're going to grow tomatoes." But this year I've been really, on it, and I said, "No, have them off."
Yeah. But what you can do with those, though, is you can stick them in some water. They will root really, really easily, and then you can just stick them in the ground and they become a whole new plant.
Yeah, brilliant.
And it's tomato plants for free. Um, but if you've got enough tomato plants, you definitely don't need to do that. But it just might make you feel a little bit better about getting rid of that sucker.
Yeah. Oh, I used to hate cutting them off.
Yeah,
One more
yeah.
tomato plant, blossom end rot. Now I've got a bit of a funny story about this. Um,
Go on.
at the
Is it going to
weekend,
anger me?
well, anger and make you laugh. At the weekend, one of the experts, we were talking about this. We had a question in about blossom end rot, and I'll let you explain what it is. But the other expert said I was asked the other day whether I should use skimmed or full fat milk to put on my tomatoes with blossom end rot.
Oh,
Explain
wow.
why somebody might think that, Becky.
Okay, so blossom end rot is caused by a calcium deficiency. And what happens is that where the tomato's growing, where the flower has come off, so basically the furthest point of the tomato fruit away from the plant, um, it will start to turn brown. It gets like a little brown patch. It looks like it's rotted. Um, and skimmed apparently. So bear with us a minute. So it looks like it's rotted. Um, and this is because the plant doesn't have enough calcium to build the cell walls in that end of the tomato. So essentially, the cell walls are collapsing on themselves because cell walls of tomato plants, of tomato fruits, need to be really, really rigid in order to hold all that water in and all those seeds and lovely juicy stuff. If they don't have enough calcium, they just break down and then they look like they've rotted. Now, obviously, what's happened here is that gardeners have gone, right, okay, so it's a calcium deficiency. Brilliant, I'll add some calcium. But actually, this is not the problem because calcium is pretty much never deficient in soils. Most soils have loads of calcium, with the exception of perhaps really, really sandy soils, which, again, if you just add some organic matter, then you'll be fine.
Mm.
Um, but the problem is that calcium's a really big molecule and it can only be taken up if there is enough water in the soil. If there's not enough water in the soil, the tomato plants may still be able to take up some smaller molecules that are like easily dissolved in tiny, tiny little bits of water, but it can't take up calcium molecules, which are much bigger. You can think of it like a straw. If you've got a really, really thin straw and you're trying to drink a smoothie, game over.
Mm.
Yeah. So basically, calcium is like smoothie compared with like water or squash or something like that. So the
Yeah.
plants just can't get at it because they don't have enough water to dissolve it. So blossom end rot is 100% of the time down to inconsistent watering. So even if they're just a dry period, it can then have a knock-on effect on that part of the developing tomato.
Mm.
So it's never about adding calcium to the soil. It's always about making sure that the soil has enough water to take up the calcium that's already there. I have heard some wild things. So eggshells is one quite common one. So crushed up eggshells, you put it in the hole and then you plant your tomato plant in there. So there's enough calcium.
Mhm.
I've seen people use like Gaviscon, which is wild. Rennie tablets, again, like they're basically like chalk, calcium, to stop heartburn. Milk is another one.
I just
There's
absolutely
so
peed
many.
myself when somebody
Isn't copper
they
one?
asked them.
I'm sure
Sorry.
I've heard copper as one for
Coppers, so
bottom.
coppers for something else. I don't really, I would need somebody to explain to me why they put copper in the ground.
Wow.
But yes. Um, so essentially what we need to think about instead of thinking about what's my plant lacking is how come my plant isn't able to get what's already there. So in the case of calcium, it's because there's not enough water. In the case of any other nutrients, it's because there isn't enough organic matter in your soil to be able to release these nutrients. So add organic matter, that will add nutrients. If you have sandy soil, add something that's really rich in nutrients, like a well-rotted manure or a soil improver. If you have clay soil, add something that's quite woody, like a sort of like silver grey type composts that are quite woody, or just something that's rich in like bark or bracken or something like that that's quite woody, and that will help to add some structure to your soil. But yeah, need to think about the plants know what they're doing, but sometimes we mess it up for them by not giving them enough water or not giving them enough organic matter.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is
Definitely
why
don't
your
be giving
courgette
them
have got blossom and rot.
No,
because I can't keep the moisture in the soil.
that's something different.
Oh,
Oh,
really? There we go.
So,
oh, is it?
if you
Go on then.
see the end of a courgette, is it growing to about that big and then going brown on the end and then the
Mm.
whole courgette falls off? That's not
Mm.
blossom end rot. That is no pollination.
Ah, I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, so if it doesn't get pollinated, that's what happens. Don't worry about it. It happens to everybody. So just to answer this one, what exactly is organic matter? So organic matter is anything that used to be alive, but obviously don't just go chuck your cat's dead body on your garden or anything like that. It's gross. So what I usually mean is compost. So anything that's like dead composted plant matter or manure, so cow manure, horse manure, something that eats plants, um, and that just keeps it clean. And if you're adding it in composted or manure form, then it just acts in the same way as soil, so you can just plant into it and it doesn't kind of, if you're chucking a whole load of minced up trees on the ground or a whole load of plants, then it creates difficulties because you can't then just treat the ground like soil. Whereas if you add
Mm.
compost, if you add well-rotted manure, you can just go ahead and pretend like nothing happened and plant into it. And it creates a lovely, beautiful surface to plant into as well.
Definitely does.
So that's what
Is
organic
it
matter is.
is it true that manure mixed in soil can burn seedlings when planted?
Yes, it is true. So that is true. So the reason that this can happen is twofold. If something has too many nutrients in it, so if it's really, really rich in nutrients, like, for example, if you don't read the fertilizer packet properly and you put far too much fertilizer in your watering can and don't water it down as much, that can create burn in your plant leaves. It's just too concentrated, the nutrients are too concentrated. But also, in the case of manure, as manure is breaking down, if it's not very well broken down, in the early stages of it breaking down, it gets really, really hot. So in some cases, it can get up to kind of 60, 70 degrees
Wow.
when it's breaking down, especially if you've got it in large amounts. Obviously, the bigger the amount, the warmer the center point will be. And it can then burn your seedlings. If it's mixed in with the soil, it's unlikely to, but it can happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's kind of if you add manure in the form where it kind of looks like soil, it behaves like soil, i.e. it no longer looks like poo, then you can add it and that's fine, and it should be totally fine. But I would still caution putting tiny little seedlings in it because it can create some really extraordinary growth, which isn't particularly strong. So um, let it break down a little bit. Make sure that it's nice and soily before you do anything with it.
Yeah, brilliant.
And the same
That
can be true
sounds.
with compost as well, not just manure. Because if
Yeah,
compost isn't
absolutely.
fully rotten down, it's the same.
Absolutely, yeah. It gets really, really hot, and that's kind of a good thing. If it's getting really hot, that means there's loads of life in it. That's really good, but don't add hot stuff to your beds, particularly not if you're putting like loads of it on and then planting into it. That's not going to be very good. But usually, even if you have compost that kind of feels a little bit warm to touch, if you get like a dumpy bag, sometimes they feel a little
Mm.
bit warm to touch. By the time you spread it around, it's cooled down and it's fine. Um, but sometimes you can, put your hand in it and have all the skin burnt off your hand. It's like really, really hot. So definitely be careful with that. Yeah. Imagine you're a seedling and then think about how
Yeah.
much you'd like it.
Yeah, if it's not nice on your hand, it's not going to be nice on a little seedling.
No, no, that's
No.
it. Although I paid a visit to a compost company earlier in the year, and it was really, really, really cold the day that I went there. Like -6 kind of cold. And they had these enormous, great big rows of compost that was all breaking down. They're like, it's about 65 degrees in there because they were trying to manage the temperature so it didn't get too high. So it's a nice organic compost, and still full of life. 65 degrees sounds so good right now. I want to dive into that thing. I didn't. But yeah, it was very tempting.
It's really hot, isn't it? Really, when you think about it, it's
Yeah,
so hot.
yeah,
That's the
that's it.
temperature of your. That's probably hotter than temperature of your hot tap.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's really hot, and it would cause you some pretty serious damage.
Yeah,
The hottest hot spa that I've ever been in was 55 degrees, and that was basically it was a natural hot spring. It was
yeah,
like I couldn't manage it past about my toe.
yeah.
Um, I did have some German friends who were just sitting in it like, yeah, this is lovely.
Plenty
But
cooking.
Yeah, we went
but
in. We went
65
into
is a
the.
bridge too far.
We went in the hot springs in Iceland, and they were about 50 something, and they just made me feel ill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really, really a lot too hot. So
Yeah,
65 is a lot, and that temperature is just generated from the life in there breaking stuff down. It's literally the body heat of billions and billions of little tiny microorganisms, which is quite
amazing.
fascinating, really.
It
So
is, isn't
yeah,
it? When you dig that deep, excuse the pun, but it's amazing, amazing.
it is. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I got one quick one more.
Okay.
Do you have to feed your veg to get a good crop?
No. So we've kind of talked a little bit about how plants get their nutrients from the soil. Basically, the life in the soil releases nutrients to our plants. It drip feeds it to our plants so that you never get this kind of like mass of nutrients and then the rain comes and it just washes it all away. The life in the soil just gradually releases the nutrients to our plants that our plants need. Um, if we have healthy soil that we've tried to create healthy soil by not disturbing it, by making sure that there are plants in the soil, growing in the soil, and by adding organic matter, then we don't ever need to feed our plants. Now, the reason that we have to add organic matter, and again, this is compost or well-rotted manure, is because in gardens, we're always taking organic matter away. We take it away, we eat it, or we compost it, we're tidying it up, we're removing weeds, with all sorts of things that are just constantly removing organic matter. So we just have to give back to our plants, that's all. In just exactly the same way that it would work in nature with leaves falling to the ground, adding that organic matter to the floor of the forest, which would then help to release nutrients to the trees. So all we're doing is just artificially inserting that organic matter and kicking off that nutrient cycling again. So we never need to feed our plants. In fact, if we do feed our plants, we interrupt that cycle and we create plants that then don't feed the life in the soil. It doesn't build healthier soil, and then plants become dependent on kind of junk food because fertilizer is easy food. So our plants get dependent on having that. And then of course we do something like, I don't know, stack it in the garden and can't go to the allotment for 6 weeks, so we can't fertilize, and then your grandma tries to do it for you and she gets it wrong. And that all the plants decide that they're all just going to die. Whereas on a no-dig garden or allotment, nothing needs any fertilizer ever,
No,
apart
I've
from pots. Pots is
I've
different.
I've never fed my plot at all, and
Good.
I don't even feed my tomatoes because they're in the ground.
Hmm.
And I also do exactly the same in the polytunnel. I put compost on top and plant them. Obviously, once they come out of the pots, and then they
Yeah,
get
yeah,
planted straight in the ground.
yeah. Perfect. So that's all they
Mm,
need. And
mm,
like we said, it's just about kind of trying to think how it's done in nature, and then just trying to replicate that as closely as we can in an artificial setting. So
yeah,
yeah,
brilliant. I can't believe it's
cool.
9 o'clock already.
I know. I've got an 11-year-old who's up past her bedtime now, so I'm gonna have to go and say goodnight to her.
Oh dear. I think you probably had Mark's lightning round last time. Did you?
Can't remember
Questions?
actually. I do quite a lot of podcasts, so
You do, yeah.
apologies if I can't remember, but I'm happy to go for it. Let's do
Go on then.
it.
Or I've got some different questions because I'm pretty sure
Oh
we did.
yeah, even better.
I've got some
Okay,
different questions for our returning. So,
perfect.
first one is, what is this week's gardening win and gardening fail?
Gardening win has got to be my gladioli. They are looking absolutely fabulous at the moment.
Oh, brilliant.
Just like people walk past my allotment and go, "Wow, look at that."
Nice.
So gladioli is definitely my gardening win. Gardening fail is probably my cabbage. I planted a cabbage. I've watered it in and everything, but it's obviously not very happy. And all the others have grown fine. And there's this one that's like this big and just not doing anything.
Why does
And
that
it's so
happen? It always
pathetic.
happens, doesn't it?
Run of the
You get
letter.
get a
It's the
row
run,
of four
yeah.
or five lettuces, and there's one sitting there. It's just stayed like that. You think you've got
Yeah,
exactly the same as everybody else.
it's not happy about something. I'm gonna keep it there and see whether it changes its mind. But at the moment it's just quite hilarious because it's got loads of space around it as well. And I'm like, ooh,
On.
poor little
Get
thing.
there.
So yes.
Next one. Civilization as we know it has ended. You are one of the survivors. You are allowed to have the seed of 5 plants.
Wow.
What are you choosing?
Tomato, obviously. Um, Potato, can I have seed potatoes?
Yeah.
That's okay, isn't it?
Yeah.
Onions, carrots, and parsnips.
Nice.
Presuming I still have to live in the UK. I can't just go settle in some
Go with
tropical
what you
place
know.
and only eat papaya.
Yeah. Coconuts.
I think
In
I
which
might
case my
go for
answer would be
something.
completely different.
I think I might go for something like chard or something because keep going as you pick the leaves. They'll keep
Yeah,
coming back.
but just carrots, parsnips, potatoes,
You've
onions.
made a lovely
You got
roast
yourself a
dinner.
soup. You got yourself a soup, and
Or a
then you
soup, yeah.
add some tomatoes in there, and it's perfect.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let you off. Brilliant.
Next one. If you could go back and tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh,
Um, I think probably I just probably reassure her that it's okay to be that weird kid who collects bugs.
it's all going to
When
work
you're a
out
grown
fine.
up,
Don't
yeah,
worry.
when you're a grown up, people will respect that about you. See,
You'll
when
find your
you're a
people.
yeah, when you're a bloke or when you're a boy doing things like collecting bugs and then keeping them
Yeah,
in loads and loads and loads of pots on your shelf in your bedroom is eccentric.
yeah,
And when you're a girl, you're just weird. Um, but I'm fully at peace with that now.
good.
Is there another question for a
Any more,
lightning
Mark?
Yeah,
round?
the last one is what is the biggest gardening game changer you have ever discovered?
I mean, transitioning to, well, not transitioning to, but no dig gardening. But then I was never not a no dig gardener. I think learning how to save your own seeds
Yeah, Scott.
because it's so easy. It produces such good results. It saves loads of money. You make your friends happy, and your plants get better and better every year. So, yeah.
Save your own.
Brilliant.
And on
Excellent.
that, I should probably say I have a little box of cards, the seed collector's kit, which is all about saving seeds, and it's beautifully
You do.
illustrated and it's
You
lovely. And
do,
I didn't do the
yes.
illustrations myself; they're definitely the best bit, but I did write it. So the seed collector's kit.
Fab. I've got one.
And the name of your book again?
The name of the book is Grow a New Garden, and it's just all about how to grow a garden organically by building ecosystem health, by building soil health, and also it's a lot about also how to create a garden that just works for you and your family. So yeah,
And you can get
enjoy.
that anywhere.
Anywhere you like.
Yeah.
Go
I
and buy it.
hope.
Brilliant.
And it's coming out in the States in October actually, so it's only been
Wow.
available in the UK until now, and yeah, so in the States in October.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Well done. Well, Becky,
Thanks.
thank you. I've really enjoyed that.
Good. Me too.
And I
Thank
think
you.
everybody else has as well. Brilliant.
Lots
Good.
of people have learned lots, had myths
Yeah,
dispelled.
definitely have,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Excellent. Okay, we'll put the skim milk back in the fridge.
Definitely.
Put it in your tea.
Oh, yeah, that'll do. Oh.
Well, thanks so
Thank
much
you
for
so
having me on, you
much.
guys.
No, thank you for coming on. It's been
Thank you.
brilliant. Take care.
Cheers.
See you soon.
See you
Bye.
later. Bye.
Bye.
God, the knowledge in that woman's head is unbelievable.
Every time we have her on, we and
Just,
everybody learn so much.
yeah, mind blowing what she knows. It's crazy. I knew it would be good. Mythbusters.
There's so many though. There's like, we talk for an hour. You could talk for a week of all the ridiculous gardening
Oh, yeah,
myths there are around that
definitely.
people have just,
Definitely.
oh well, he told me to do that and I've always done it, and
Yeah.
it's not necessarily right.
No. She does know her stuff. She really does. Yeah. You must go and have a look at her book. Go and buy a book because it is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and it's just really well written. It's not overly complicated. She tries to talk in, normal language,
Layman's terms. Yeah.
layman's terms, and there's pictures and everything else. So it's,
There's
yes,
no point talking like a scientist, I suppose, to the normal person. They wouldn't. You get bored and you wouldn't understand what he's saying. So she's,
yeah, they just switch off and get
yeah,
on with the book. So yeah, it's really simply put, and just things that everybody can do in their own gardens, no matter whether you've got an acre or a new build little garden
mm,
with crap soil that the builders have buried all their rubble in.
yeah, which most of them have.
Indeed. It's growing. We're not all as fortunate as me and you to have big allotments in our
No,
Most people have
No,
only got
definitely not.
a few meters by a few meters.
Mm.
And even in that, you can grow enough food for yourself. As
You
Greg
definitely
was saying
can.
the other day, everybody needs to grow their own leafy things because
Yeah,
they're the things that are really hard to get from a farmer to your door without putting it in plastic. Because
yeah,
if you don't
because
put
they
it in
will.
plastic, it's going to wilt. So
Yeah,
if everybody grew their own salad leaves and like chard and all that sort of thing, the amount of plastic waste that would cut off is
yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, even when I was a kid, like you just didn't get salad in shops. You got a lettuce, but you
You get
couldn't
an
buy
iceberg
cut.
lettuce, wasn't it? An
Yeah,
iceberg, round, firm, but that was even plastic wrapped with the end twisted, wasn't it?
yeah. But now just the amount of mixed salads and stuff like
Mixed
that, and you
salads of
can grow all of
every
that.
different type. Yeah,
I've got a trug outside my back door where in the morning, if I'm making myself a salad for work, I go out,
yeah,
pick some leaves, take it into the salad, put it in a box, eat it at
yeah,
lunchtime, and
yeah.
everybody can do that.
Yeah, you can have that if you've got a backyard, can't you? You don't need a garden. You can
You
have a
just need a
trug
few
in your
pots,
backyard. Yeah,
chard, just a bit of
yeah.
lettuce,
Cut,
nasturtiums.
cut and come again.
Yeah,
Snap off the outside leaves.
and just constantly be sowing. Every few
Mm,
weeks, sow another pot, and then once you've used that pot, empty it out, do it again.
yeah,
I think everybody needs to grow your own salads, grow your own chard, grow your own kale,
mm, definitely.
and we'd cut out a massive pile of plastic.
Yeah, need to do that.
How are your
Awful stuff.
tomatoes going? Your tomatoes must be huge by now. Have you had any red ones yet?
No, well, there's one. I can't remember what variety. There's one on the way. It's a yellow one, but yeah, it's definitely on the way. I had a good old trim up again on Sunday. Started lifting the bottom leaves and getting some light and some air through, and they started to look really good.
Yeah, I need to have another prune. I tied them all up about a week and a half ago, but they're now at the stage of needing another tidy and
Yeah, they grow so fast. It's
shoots out.
ridiculous.
I mean, these ones that have been in the longest, they're well up top already.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But even the ones that I've planted not that long ago, which are these ones, they're well on the way.
Yeah. Once they get to that kind of size, they go boom.
Yeah, I'll soon be up at the top of the polytunnel.
Yeah, they love it. Yeah, mine are all good right round the outside now. Cucumbers. I went to harvest a cucumber and went, oh my god, there's 4 yellow ones on there that I hadn't even seen, and they've gone too far, but they're the ones that I make my yellow pickled cucumber out of. So I should make some of that. It's lovely.
My courgettes are like that now. Just the ordinary courgettes are getting big, and
Yeah,
then
I found 2 yesterday that are just, oh my god, where did that come from?
yeah. I mean, the Zephyr ones, over the weekend, I was watching. I think you could have stood there and watched them grow because they just went from
Yeah,
like that size to that size by the end of the weekend.
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
And even my
Absolutely
squash arch,
ridiculous.
watching the stems go up now, like you go down in the morning and it's gone up by about that much
Yeah.
in the day.
If I'm watering in the morning, I walk down the arch, and then you see them laying there, don't you? So I pick it up and give it a little weave through,
Yeah,
and then you go back at night time, and there's another bit flop down as well. That's
yeah,
grown about 8 inches throughout 12 hours.
yeah. It's insane. This is
Yeah.
definitely the best year I've ever had with the arch. Like last year was a write off with the slugs, but this year is like I think I'm gonna have a mini version of yours. Basically, they're going to be all
Yeah.
the way over the top.
Brilliant.
They're just going nuts now.
I've got a tromboncino already.
Yeah, that Zephyr one is like a tromboncino, but it's slightly different because it's got the green end, but it's the same
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
size.
Yeah,
It's very similar, and it gets like the
yeah.
bulbous end and the thinner bit. So it
I
just
didn't even know it was there. I was just having a route around the other day and into like I just said, picking some up and just helping it on its way, and sitting there is about a foot
massive
long,
old
and
snake.
oh my god, yeah, it's brilliant. I love just walking around and thinking, look how much that's grown just in a day. But there's lots of things going over which need to come out now. So my peas have had it; they're gone. The broad beans obviously got to come out. I've just had all the onions and garlic out, so I've got beds and more beds which I've got to fill back up.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been sowing more peas into where the peas are to try and get the new ones to come through and take over as the old ones go over.
Yeah,
Trying that.
I've got dried peas on there, so I'm going to have them off and just chuck them straight back in.
Backtrack it. Yeah, I did a few of those that just because of how warm it's been. If you miss one, it's gone so dry already.
Oh yeah.
That you can just chuck them back in and they'll probably start growing again.
You can spend so much time out there now, though.
Oh yeah, you can titivate for ages and not feel like you've actually achieved anything.
Yeah. And of course, the weeds, constantly weeding as well. My main weeds that I call it beetweed, but I did actually Google it the other day. It's a goosefoot. Goosefoot.
Not sure we get that.
I don't know what,
where we are.
But it grows really quick. It will grow a good 8 inches in a day or a couple of days, but it's so shallow rooted. You just pull it out.
Wow. I'll have to Google that because I don't recognise that. That's obviously not one we get in Lincolnshire.
It just the foot looks like a duck foot or something. The leaf looks like a duck foot.
It's not colt's foot.
I don't know.
There
was lots of names of it, but I've always called it beetweed because it comes up a lot in between the sugar beet when they grow that, and it'll grow, really tall if you leave it.
Yeah.
Well, I googled it and that said
veg-wise now. So there's quite a lot that you can still be sowing.
We can grow. Yeah, definitely.
Beetroots, you can just about get away with some carrots, lettuce,
radish, anything really.
Radishes.
I planted some more parsnips the other day because you don't have to let them be massive, do you?
No.
They'll still grow, but they'll just be small. So just about anything.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you plant tomatoes now, you're not going to get any tomatoes.
No, that's not going to happen. Tomatoes but even I popped some more dwarf beans in the other day. They'll still come up, and you'll get a harvest off them.
And peas, you can still be sowing.
Mm.
Runner beans, you might struggle to get big enough, but you might get some. Depends what the weather's like. That's the thing. We never know from one week to the next what your weather's going to get. Because I mean, for the last few weeks we've been struggling to keep stuff dry.
We could have decent weather all the way through to October, and they'll keep going. So
yeah, you just never know. I've got the most huge chili on one of the peppers that you gave me. I was going to ask you what variety it was. I was trying to see because I think all of my chilies that I've got were from you.
Can I see?
Let me just take it here. Just turn you around. And it is there. You see that?
Yeah. So that is one from a red long pointy pepper. Chili. It's a pepper. It's not a chili.
So it's a sweet pepper.
Yeah, one from Tesco's. Can you remember I took all the seeds out of one pepper, stuck them in a pot, and I got about 30 peppers.
Yeah, that's just ginormous, that one.
Look at that. That's brilliant. How often do you water them, Mark?
Usually once a day.
Oh, you are doing them every day?
Yeah. I mean, if it's been warm...
I've been leaving my peppers and chilies every other day, but I'll do them every day.
But I mean, I haven't watered today, and that's really, really wet still.
Is it?
But it's not been that warm here today. It's probably been 18 degrees.
Yeah.
So, whilst I've got you on hold, let's show you the squash arch.
Hey. I do love your arch. It's brilliant.
So that's one side, and then this side was planted afterwards, so they're not as far on, but they're going. They're coming up. And big sunflowers.
Yeah. Bex has got melon seedlings on the go. Any tips? they need hot, hot, hot. You might be a little bit late for them, but they need to be in a greenhouse, really.
Who said that?
Beck's Plan B.
Okay. And then I built a new arch last night, which is where the old entrance to the veg garden used to be, and that's for
Yeah.
my blackberry plant because it was taking over the path. So that'll grow up and over that, so that I can harvest from underneath.
Mm. Do you do any companion planting? Oh, I don't really. I've just got nasturtiums and calendula and a few marigolds dotted about. That's the only kind. I don't do anything really, not seriously.
Yeah, and I do this. Rather than planting in rows, I plant stuff in amongst it all. So I've got, there's a squash, there's some, I think that's purple sprite and broccoli, and then there's some mango in there, agretti, sweet corn at the back, and then beans going up at the back. So I just mix everything in together. Every bed has got a mixture of stuff, so it's not a monoculture.
Yeah.
And then there's less chances of one thing taking over and attacking everything.
I've done mine similar to you this year, but not quite so random. But it's just short rows of different things.
So my agretti.
We've got to start eating that. I asked Lucy the other day, and she said, "Oh, you should be eating that by now."
Oh, I am. Yeah, I'm constantly taking bits off. Look,
I ain't had any of mine yet.
Lovely. Every salad I make, it goes in.
Yeah, it's nice stuff.
Lovely.
All right. Rightio.
Rightio. You're not rushing.
Very good. Very good show. No, because I've had my tea.
And you've not got a nosebleed.
No nosebleed. I've had my tea.
All good.
Yes. Oh, I really enjoyed that. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Oh, how's your Malabar spinach?
Wicked.
Is it going?
Yeah.
Mine's...
I'll tell you what. The red has, but the white hasn't done anything.
No. I don't think my green one's gone. I planted it in here and I can't see it, so I don't think it's grown.
So my white or green, whatever you call it, is still same size it was when it was a plug plant.
Yeah.
When I put it out, but the red that's up to the top of my greenhouse and outside. It's now up to the top of the canes as well.
Yeah, mine's the same. In the polytunnel, it's nearly at the roof.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks everybody. See you later. See you next week. Cheers, Mark. See you later.
Bye.
See you, mate.
Thank you for listening to Through the Garden Gate.